Shalom Alaikum, peace. I am Coach Nazir, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. And today I'm going to be addressing the question that we get a lot, or at least that I get quite a bit. It comes in different forms. But basically the question goes, as a married man, why would you decide to take another wife? That's usually how the question says, why did you decide, since you're already married and everything else and you have a family, why would you take another wife? All right, first of all, just need to let you know for some clarity, I didn't take another wife. I don't think we should take or took anything with wives, all right? I married another woman, which means I was already married, chose to practice polygyny, and did marry another woman. Sometimes that take another wife thing sounds weird, and I think the only time I've ever heard that was when my wife was telling me the farmer in the dale. The farmer takes a wife, yeah. So it sounds like you take a wife, like where you take her from? She was kidnapped or something? And sadly, that's kind of some of the history in Europe when it comes to like the best man for the job and all that. They actually just kidnap women and then make them their wives. So, nope, I didn't take another wife, but I do know what you mean. Just having a little fun with you. Basically marrying another woman while already being married or choosing to practice polygyny. Now, just for clarity in terms here, I know that maybe you would consider polygamy to be the same as polygyny. Well, polygyny is just more specified. So here's the thing. Polygamy is the general term. Polygamy means having multiple spouses. Okay, so that can apply to men or women. That's the generic general term. So, but under that umbrella of polygamy is polygyny, which most people discuss. Polygyny is more widely practiced than any other form of polygamy, if you will. And polygyny means a man having multiple wives. And in my case, as a Muslim, we're limited to up to 4 wives at one time. And then there's polyandry. That means a woman having multiple husbands. And then there's polyamory. Now, polyamory doesn't necessarily mean there's marriage involved at all. So, being under the umbrella of polygamy, maybe not. There's a difference of opinion on that. But polyamory means having multiple lovers. So the male having multiple lovers, the female having multiple lovers, sometimes they share the same lover, all that type of stuff. So that's that category. So just a quick, poly doesn't just mean the same thing. Yeah, poly means many, but we have the specific. Specificity is important to me. So polygamy, the general term, multiple spouses. Polygyny is what we're talking about today. Man having multiple wives. And again, polyandry, meaning a woman having multiple husbands. And polyamory, everybody having multiple lovers for the most part. Okay. So with that being said, why did I choose to practice polygyny? Well, just a little bit of backdrop. I initially got married when I was 19 years old. I was married for 15 years before choosing to practice polygyny. And now, I'm grateful and humble to have been practicing polygyny now for 10 years. So I've been married a total of 25 years to my initial wife, or my first wife, as some people will call. And I'm just using first and second, just so you know, incoming or when or whatnot, just for, again, specificity reasons. For 25 years, and then for my second, or the incoming wife, Coach Nyla, for 10 years. So Coach Fatimah, 25 years, Coach Nyla for 10 years. So the question, why would a man want to marry more than one wife? That's actually a very good question. And what I mean by that is not the drivers behind it, but many times people relegate it to just sex. They think, polygyny or man wanting more than one wife, it's just about sex. He just wants to fulfill his desires. But let me ask you this question. Do you need to be married? Are most people married in a society that are having sex? Right. All right. So to just dismiss it or relegate it to something for sex, think about the first marriage. Do you say when a friend wants to get married, you're like, you just want to have sex with her, huh? Or, you just want to have sex with him, huh? Nah. See how dismissive it can be when you just say that's the same thing. We're talking about a marriage. Marriage, in polygyny in particular, is the only form of poly that's family building. Family building. Okay. So that means you're talking about building a family. Well, in particular, everyone knows who, when children come about, everyone knows who the father is of the child. Again, there's no multiple men and stuff like that going on in polygyny. So 1, the father is. 2, the men provide this protection and honor and equality amongst the wives. There's no, you have this hierarchy because you've been here longer, and you have this because you haven't been here, and so on and so forth. They're equal. They're wives, and they're to be treated as such, whether the current country may recognize it or not. This was made lawful far before the inception of certain countries, of most countries on the planet right now. So it's one of the oldest forms of marriage. It's only monogamy we've been knowing for the last few hundred years. Okay, in general, just to be real, monogamy is really to protect the man. It's not really to protect the woman. You might ask, what do you mean monogamy, man? One man, one woman. It's to protect the man and what he does. So when you look into it, you recognize this whole Greco-Roman structure, this European structure, is about one legal wife. So one legal, meaning this is the only one you have to take care of, and any children that come from that, that's what you're legally responsible for. But if not, monogamy does not prohibit having an unlimited number of concubines, girlfriends, boyfriends, mistresses, jump downs, or whatever you want to call them on the side, which again denigrates women. And biologically speaking, this is not a whole thing about polygyny versus monogamy, because if you know anything about outstanding personal relationships, you know that we are pro-morals. So we support marriage and a nuclear family structure with a man as a husband and a woman as the wife. Okay? We want to make sure morals are practiced. That raises our level of character. That's unquestionable. Really, no matter whose agenda, different people are trying to change that, we believe in a nuclear family. And polygyny just expands that family role, if you will. The challenge is our conditioning can be so strong against it because society has, oh, my knight in shining armor is coming to rescue us and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, if every man married every available woman, there will still be millions of women unmarried in the U.S. today, even though Islam legislated over 1,400 years ago, it restricted polygyny to only 4 wives. Islam didn't come with polygyny. Polygyny has been practiced far before by the most righteous individuals and people that have ever existed, the prophets. And even when you look at Prophet Suleiman or Solomon in the Bible, they say he has 700 wives, 300 concubines. Now, of course, nothing like that is allowed, but Solomon was, I remember when I used to be Christian, that he was also considered to be the wisest man that ever lived. Perhaps being able to deal with such things as 700 wives also attributes to why he could have been considered, one of the most wise men that ever lived. I don't know. But back to why. Well, it's relatively hard to explain why to a woman. There's many different reasons. There are many different reasons as a driver. But I just want to let you know right up front, the myth that, oh, it's just for sex. Now, you don't need to get married for sex. Now, if you're going to be moral and have moral standards, yes, absolutely. But when it's called extramarital affairs, when they talk about over 80% of marriages have infidelity, when we know that marriage fails the majority of the time, monogamously is well over 50%, polygyny, there's no numbers or statistics on it because most people are private. And we were private for a number of years. So we decided, it will benefit more people to be able to help and show how to build a polygynous union after going through the roller coaster of emotions, the ups and downs, and really trying to figure this thing out and recognize there wasn't much support. So we decided to become more public and allow other people in. And when people are asking different questions and helping them out and really finding some solutions to their challenges, we felt obligated to do so. But since most are private, we have no idea what those numbers are. It could be more, it could be less. Allah knows best. We don't know. So there are a number of things. There's a need for family. There's a need to be a whole human being. Now, the question comes for the man. The man says, okay, well, my first wife is upset, mad, and, she's threatened to leave me and the kids and stuff like that. And, what should I do? The fact is, I don't know, and it depends. It really depends on your circumstances and your situation. If you are not a fair individual, if you're not a just person, then you don't need to be considering polygyny anyway. You need to work on yourself and personal growth to expand and become more than twice the man that you currently are, to deal with new situations and dynamics. Because when it comes to emotions, if you can't deal with one roller coaster of emotion that comes from a wife, you should try to deal with 2 because you're going to get it on both sides. Yeah. The emotional roller coaster and all of that, you may have an incoming wife that's jealous of the amount of time you've been around. And then the first might be saying, okay, am I insecure, or did I do something wrong, or what's going on, or how come you have the desire for someone else? Look, here's the facts. The fact is, men will never be able to understand how it feels to have menstrual cramps, or absolutely not be able to feel what it's like to give birth. Just like women will never be able to understand what drives a man to want to marry more and expand his family. That's really king talk. Can you love more? Yes, you can love more. I said, well, can you really love 2 women? Yes, you can. Can you be in love? Yeah, you can. There's no limit to love and try to box it up. Think about if you've ever had children. And I know it's not the best example, but it's one of the closest ones we can think of. A body growing inside you. You have this child. Your first child is your everything. And you spend all of this time and this effort and this love and all of that's there. But then when you have a second child, does the love of your first one diminish? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But can that first child be jealous of the second child? Yeah, absolutely. Or you have 4 or 5 children. I have 10 biological children and 2 bonus children. There's sibling rivalries and some things that I like more about some children and some things I don't like, that they do. We're humans. But the main thing is, if you are the quality type of brother, if you are the man for the job, if you're the one that's just and you're fair, then obviously your wife should be concerned. She should have a natural, normal jealousy of you anyway, like you have a natural, normal jealousy of her and not putting her on display for others. So why? I love women in general. I do. That doesn't mean, oh, I love women, so let me just go and I'm just trying to check sisters out and just can't control myself. No, not at all. You have to be self-disciplined. But I know that far too many women in our society today, like 500 years ago, like 1,000 years ago, like 5,000 years ago, and like will be 100 years from now, they're being abused in society, not being taken care of. They have very few options. When I look at, first of all, I'm a man, a black man in America, a Muslim man. So when I look at, and I have 5 daughters that I'm responsible for and helping them get married. When I look at the prospects are slim. One, you have to deal with someone knowing your culture. Then you have to deal with society and these homosexuality being rampant and being pushed as though it's normal, the whole transgender thing, agenda and everything else. Then you have incarceration. So there are a lot of challenges. Then you have those who just aren't fit. You have domestic violence. You have drug use. You have men that are boys in men's bodies. Okay? So there are a lot of things that women are, that are a huge disadvantage of, let alone they're just being more women physically on the planet than men. So they have a smaller pool to pull from. So seeing the wisdom of Al-Hakim, the wise, the all-knowing Allah Ta'ala, and seeing how this was structured as polygyny, being structured back then, 1,400 years ago, and restricting it to up to 4, even though it was already practiced, to now and how it still applies to today is amazing. And it's a massive solution for many of the challenges we have in society today. Many people are stepfathers. They stepped up to the job where other fathers weren't available or not around, or, their daddy issues and other challenges and stuff going around. Men, real men, that step in and step up and can take care of a family and can provide for a family should do so. At the expense of, because I get this question too, well, do you know your first wife is going to be hurt and this and that? Yes. Did I want to see her hurt and all that stuff? No, not at all. But I had to do what I needed to do as a man to help console her, to help reassure her and our children that the love for your mother is not diminishing whatsoever. She held me down and came through stuff when I was a kid. There was no beard. There was no grays. There was little mustache kind of coming through, 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? So that's not diminished because you decide to marry again. No, I heard it explained one time by a brother that he said, you know what? When I'm asked the reason why I decided to marry another wife, I said, listen, she made marriage so good for me, I want to do it again and again and again. Now, I know what he was trying to say, and that doesn't necessarily bring any comfort to any sisters whose husbands may be looking at marrying another wife or whatnot. But your marriage can be good and great. There's nothing lacking, and you still desire to marry another woman. All right? That really is what it is. I've heard many different reasons people did choose to do so. And that doesn't mean just because there's such a lack that you go after certain women who are in certain positions, or polygyny is only here to save the lowly woman. No, that's not the case either. She could be a virgin, never married, and you decide to marry her as an additional wife. She could be a single mom. All right, she could be a single mother. Yeah, single mother. She could be a single mother with children. She could be a divorcee. She could be a widow. Many of these different things. All right. The thing is that you practice it honorably and noble. That's what kings do. Keeping mess between each other? No. You have to protect your family on the inside and out. Protect their heart inside and out. Protect their emotions. You have to protect your mind. You have to provide inside and out. That takes leadership stuff. So why did I choose to practice polygyny? Because it will make me more. Was it an easy decision to make and an easy transition? No. Hands down, no, it wasn't. That's why we share best practices with you on our website. Again, go get our report, 5 Keys to a Fulfilling Marriage, especially in polygyny. OutstandingPersonalRelationships.com. Go get it. Download it. It's yours for free. Check it out. All right, we have hundreds of hours of video here on YouTube. We got it on, Facebook and whatnot as well. Our Instagram is Outstanding Relationships. You can connect with us. We want to give out that positivity to the world because it's not easy, but it's absolutely worth it when you're doing it right. So why did I? To become more. How can you make your decision if you're choosing or concerned or have the option to marry another? Well, you have to determine whether or not it's worth it. Because maybe it isn't. Maybe you have the woman that's threatening to take the kids and she's going to do it or divorce you and everything else. But you have to weigh it out. Are you willing to say, okay, everything I built here and all this kind of stuff, that'll just go and I'll marry again and, we'll see where the cards fall? Or are you going to say, okay, well, if that's the case, then maybe you're not the woman for me. We can do whatever we need to do legally, kind of structure things out with kids and visitation. It's sad, but this is the reality that we deal with sometimes. And I'm going to marry again because this over here may be resentment. What if I'm with you for 5 years, for 10 years, you don't want to practice polygyny, and I didn't do it because of you, even though you have the authority as the man to make the decision? How close do you think you're going to be? How fulfilling do you think your marriage is going to be after that? Well, you want to do something that is lawful, do something that is noble, do something that is needed in society. And maybe someone is willing to marry you. There's women that are willing to marry brothers that are good brothers no matter what. So maybe that option is there on the table, but it's been taken off the table because of the jealousy of a wife or immaturity of a wife, or she's just knowing that you're not able to really handle it and your ego is getting in your way and you think you can because you haven't grown to who you need to be. You have to determine what's more. I'll live with either this resentment over here or I'll just go ahead and give up the idea. It's no big deal. Which is fine. Again, pro-morals. But the reason I did it, I wanted to become more. I wanted to experience more of Islam. This is a part of it. I want to experience that. I want to grow a family. I know I'm an outstanding father. I'm much different than whom I came from. I was intentional in it. So, I'm not being, flippant, not being egotistical at all. But I knew that I learned by mentors and personal growth about leadership, about family, about being intentional, about aligning my values. And I want to have a dynamic family because we came from kufr or disbelief to Islam and Iman to this deen. This changed my entire life, my outlook, my perspective. And I know that many of my ancestors prayed as they came through from Northern Africa and different parts as Muslims through this whole Middle Passage to be sitting here in this country, to have your names and your history and your culture and your religion raped away from you. Many of them prayed for their children, their descendants to return to this deen. And alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks belong to Allah that we did. We became Muslims again. And I want to experience that Islam. And I don't just want to experience it in one generation. I want it to go deep into the last day. And in doing so, then you need to have a family. You need to be a strong family. You need to be anchored in it. So that is the reason I chose it. Now, you consider it noble, you consider it not noble, it doesn't matter. There's no wrong reasons for choosing to marry again. Somebody sees somebody he really likes and is very attracted to, fine, that's a good reason. You must be fair and just. There's blessings in that. We know that the Prophet ﷺ said he left nothing with more fitna, challenging trials and stuff in it for men than women. It is what it is. And when it comes to, well, can't you just be satisfied with one? Prophet ﷺ also said if man had a mountain of gold, he'd want another one. There's nothing that satisfies the son of Adam except dirt, meaning that we're dead. We want more. And let's flip that around. So sometimes I ask the sisters, do you have enough pairs of shoes? What about bags? You got enough, or it's just another one that's out there? We're humans. We want more. That doesn't necessarily mean you're greedy. What matters is if you're just and you're grateful and you're being a person of high character while you develop yourself in whatever it may be. So prayerfully got some good stuff. I didn't want to go necessarily this long, but I definitely needed to address it because it's a really important topic and I get the question often. So with that being said, as I take a warm sip of coffee, make sure you visit us at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com, where we share information with our subscribers and email list first, where they get blogs and vlogs and access to different things. And you can find out about True Queens and what my wives are doing, Coach Nyla and Coach Fatimah. And really taking things to a whole nother level. So share the video if you got some good stuff. Leave some comments. I look forward to commenting with you. We pretty much see all the comments and we respond, as needed. Or you can join our private Facebook group that we have. where we usually, when we answer questions, we can just go in there and answer your question quickly with video versus trying to respond and stuff like that, especially if there's benefit for more than just one person. So look, and that's at facebook.com/groups/let's talk polygyny. All right, I'm Coach Nadir. I'm out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace.